Hey guys, welcome back to our round 2 NHL playoff previews. Today we got for you guys the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. This was a series I think a lot of people anticipated happening. We got the number 1 versus the number 2 here from the Pacific. Should be quite good.
Oh, it's going to be great. Both teams played really well in their first rounds. It's going to be exciting to see this Jack Eichel versus McDavid. It's good the first time we see that.
Yeah, we got one team that put up a really competitive series against the LA Kings. I mean, the Kings gave them some trouble, but they fought back and really fought through adversity, coming back from that 3-0 game to make it here. And then you look at Vegas. They absolutely had a masterclass, 4 straight wins to end the series against the Winnipeg Jets. This should be quite good. But we're going to start off today giving you guys a bit of a preview here. We're going to go through these teams' offenses, defense, goaltending, special teams, an X factor from each team, and then finally our series prediction on who we think will win and in how many games. And we're going to start off here talking about the offenses. When you look at the offense of the Edmonton Oilers, we all know where it starts from. It comes from guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I mean, this is obvious knowledge, but this team has added a lot more. They surrounded these guys with other valuable players such as Zach Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Evander Kane, and even some depth guys like Klim Kostin have really stood out.
Yeah, I mean, those guys have been great. Even the third line has been great. But let's talk about the Vegas Golden Knights real quick. They got Mark Stone back, and he's healthy, and he looks really good. So that's going to be very dangerous on the other side. He has very good chemistry. He pretty much revived Chandler Stevenson's career. Pretty much, he had a good regular season, but he looks like a superstar now, and it's scary.
I will say, when Mark Stone is in the lineup, this team looks drastically different. They're way more efficient with the puck. Like, it's just incredible. This guy is such a good player in the playoffs. Like, his leadership and his intangibles, his good defensive play, like, this guy really changes that offense, and it allows them to really roll out a really solid top 6. They can put guys like Riley, Marchessault, and Carlson together if they want, and then have Eichel, Stone, and Stevenson, and then they have a really solid top 6.
Yeah, William Karlsson is going to be interesting to see how he does. They moved up Jonathan Marchessault to that first line with Jack Eichel, so it's going to be very interesting to see how with Ivan Barbashev, so it's going to be interesting. So when I looked at the Vegas Golden Knights top 9, it's actually quite solid, so it's going to be interesting to see how Edmonton stops them.
I mean, both these teams have great offenses. I mean, I still would probably give a slight edge to the Oilers because they have like Draisaitl and McDavid, but I mean, honestly, both these top 6s are ridiculously stacked.
Yep, very, very good.
Looking at defense, this is where I find the biggest gap in this series potentially could be. When I look at Vegas's defense, I'm very impressed. I really love this core. I mean, when you got a guy like Alex Pietrangelo, who we've seen, he's won a Stanley Cup. He's been like a top tier defenseman for a long time. And then you throw in guys like Shea Theodore when he's healthy. We'll have to see if he's actually healthy enough for this series. And then guys like Martinez. Alec Martinez, I mean, once again, Cup experience. We saw this guy with LA. Absolutely awesome, like really good for their cup run. And then just his ability to block lanes with his shot blocking and his physical play is just unreal.
Yeah, those guys you point out are very, very good, but the guys that really stood out to me are the guys that are emerging. Whitecloud and Haig. These guys have been very strong contributors.
Two good young players, for sure.
Two good young players, and those guys have been playing really well and stepping up in big minutes. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this defense core shuts down the high caliber offense that the Oilers have.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the hardest challenges of these young kids' career, that's for sure. But you know what? I bet they're up for the task because they've been really solid so far. And like 1 through 6, this defense is good. Looking at the Edmonton Oilers defense, honestly, this defense has been drastically better ever since the trade deadline when they acquired Mattias Ekholm. This guy has been a revelation for this team, absolutely fantastic. I mean, for the first 20 games the guy played, he was only a minus player 1 out of 20 games. Like, that just goes to show you how solid he is in his own zone. Really good leadership, too. He's really helped Evan Bouchard become a lot better of a defenseman. Sure, he's not still that great defensively, but we all know he's more of an offensive defenseman, and the complement with a guy like Ekholm has been great. I think it's going to come down a lot to the play of Darnell Nurse and which Darnell Nurse we see. I've seen this guy play some really solid defense where he's really respectable, and I've also seen him play some really crappy defense where he's turning over the puck. So I think that'll be a key part of how this defense performs against Vegas here.
You hit the nail on the head. It's going to come down to Darnell Nurse, how he plays. I have full confidence in the pairing with Evan Bouchard with Ekholm. Those guys are good. Cody Ceci has been good. Darnell Nurse is questionable. Sometimes he could be good, sometimes he couldn't be. He's not good. Another guy that hasn't been had a good series against LA was Vincent Desharnais. He was just not good in some of these games, but he really stepped it out in the sixth game.
The elimination game, he brought
it. Got 2 assists, almost scored a goal in the third. Very good.
I will say one thing about the Edmonton defense I do like is a lot of those guys like Desharnais, CC, and then guys like Nurse, they're very physical, which is good. I mean, in the playoffs, you need physicality, and I mean, they don't necessarily have a ton of it up front. I mean, they do from guys like Evander Kane and that, but I mean, it's good that they have some on the back end too to keep up with these skilled forwards from Vegas.
Yep.
Looking at the goaltending here, this could be the difference in this series for sure. We got on one side Stuart Skinner, who was up and down. He seemed to have some games where he looked okay, but then he kind of played really poorly in a couple and got pulled actually in one game for Jack Campbell. And then on the other side, I mean, we got Laurent Brossoit. He played really well in the first series. The question is, the inexperience, will he be able to do it for an entire second series?
Yeah, this is a weird one for me to decide because Laurent Brossoit was very good in that first series. Yeah. But again, they were against the Winnipeg Jets, and the Winnipeg Jets were banged up. They were
missing half the roster,
and they didn't play good. The big players didn't rise to the spotlight, didn't rise to the occasion. So it made it easy, I thought, for Laurent Brossoit to have a high save percentage. Now on the other side, Stuart Skinner, to me personally, I don't think he had a single good game, a single solid game. There were some games where he looked okay. But then there were some games where I thought he leaked in some really questionable goals. And there was one game in particular where he played really freaking bad. So, yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a wash. I don't really think I can give the advantage to either team's goaltending. I think they're pretty much the same. They're both solid goaltenders, but they're not like elite goaltenders like maybe some of these other teams still in the playoffs have. All right, now we're talking about the Edmonton Oilers in this series. So we got to ask here, we got to talk about some special teams here. This is a team who has the best power play in history, but also has the worst penalty kill in the playoffs right now. What do you think is going to happen in this series when it comes towards the special teams advantages?
I think the Edmonton Oilers overachieved in the power play in that first round because they know the LA Kings really, really well.
They were scoring at like 50% clip.
Exactly. They were not going to score that. I'll guarantee you that the Oilers will not score at 50% against the Vegas Golden Knights.
That's a pretty safe bet.
They're not going to score that. It's going to go down drastically. But I think their penalty kill will be a little bit better, but not by much.
Yeah, I think, like Cohen said, I think the Edmonton power play, it's great. It's the best ever in the regular season we've seen. It was over 30%, kind of ridiculous. I could still see it being around the high 20s in this series, but Vegas is a lot better defensively, and with guys like Martinez and stuff blocking lanes and like White Cloud, it should be a little harder to score for them. I still think they're going to do work on the power play though, because this power play is too good to not score. Penalty killing wise, they need to step it up in this series. It was really atrocious against the Kings team. Not saying the Kings are a bad team by any means, but that was kind of unacceptable penalty killing. And looking at Vegas here, Vegas's power play was kind of meh in the first series against Winnipeg. I mean, they didn't really need it because they were outplaying them so hard 5-on-5, if we're being honest. But they definitely got to step up a bit on that end. Penalty kill was also kind of not as good as it usually is. Usually it's a decent penalty kill, but in the first series it wasn't necessarily great. They were letting guys like Kyle Connor and Dubois have some free space and get some good shots off and not really cutting off the lanes. So we're going to have to see if that changes in this series. Overall, though, I got to say special teams advantage has to go to Edmonton just because their world record power play numbers. But Hohen, I got to ask you, when we're looking at this series, we already know there's the big stars like the McDavids and like the Mark Stones. Who do you think is going to be your X factor from both teams? Start with the Oilers.
My X factor for the Oilers I have a lot, but if I had to pick one, I guess Yamamoto. Yamamoto's playing on the fourth line. He got demoted to the fourth line during the series, and to be honest, he played better in the fourth line, to be honest, when he was playing with Klim Kostin. So we'll see if that continues. He scored big goal in the Game 6. He also had assists on Klim Kostin's goal. Let's hope he can continue.
Mine's going to be Zach Hyman. And the reason it's going to be Zach Hyman is I think he's the type of forward that this team really needs to be big in this series. He's going to be a guy in front of the net a lot. Let's be real. He's not going to be like the skill guy like a McDavid who's taking the puck the whole game. He's going to have to be in front of all those solid defensemen trying to fight for room in front of the net. And he's going to need some of those classic tip-in goals and hard-fought working man goals, you know? And I think that's going to be the guy who has to be the X factor for the Oilers.
Yep.
How about for the Knights?
My Knights X factor will actually be, because we highlighted about the Vegas Golden Knights defense. I'm gonna have to pick Alec Martinez. He's gonna be in.
He's gonna be black and blue.
He's gonna be yeah. He's going to be, after a lot of our high end offensive players. He's gonna be blocking a lot of shots on the penalty kill. So watch out for Alec Martinez. He's gonna be there all the time.
I usually don't do this for an X factor. I usually try to pick like a third, fourth liner or something. But you know what? I'm going to have to say it. The guy who has to be an X factor for this series for the Vegas Golden Knights to advance has to be Jack Eichel.
I agree.
Jack Eichel gets to finally go against Connor McDavid, and it's in a playoff series. This is a guy who went second overall the year McDavid was drafted. He said he was going to be better than McDavid. He had all the confidence in the world. Obviously, we know he's not. No one can be that delusional. But this guy must be poised, and I want to see that energy. I want to see him translate that drive he had from that draft day into this series and really bring it.
I just want this to be an epic rivalry between these two teams, especially those two players.
Yeah, I want them to really go at it and just create some good hockey. That leaves us, though, we got to go with our final prediction here. I think this will be a very, very good series. Could even be one of the best series of this round. I'm going to say, against my will, because I'm not an Oilers fan. Trust me, believe me. Even though I live here.
I know.
But I'm gonna have to say the Oilers take this one in probably a longer series. I'm gonna say Oilers in 7.
I'm gonna say Oilers in 6, but yeah, same team. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I'm wrong. But until next time, guys, have a great day.
Hopefully, you're right. Oh no! Hopefully, you're wrong in the games. Lock it down in 6, boys. Take care.